I'm going to tell you how you can draft a super team right now on Underdog Fantasy, but you're going to need to move quick because right now is the one chance to draft players with broken ADPs that will quickly adjust in the near future. Once everyone else catches up, these bargains will no longer be available in drafts, so we need to scoop up the discounts while supplies last. In this video, I'm going to quickly run down 22 different players who are screaming targets in drafts and will be much more expensive in August. This list includes rookie wide receivers, veteran running backs who survived the NFL draft, and 4 late round gems who are completely free right now, but won't be for long. I'm Pete Overzet, this is the Deposit Kingdom, and these are the players you need to steal in drafts before it's too late. On Monday, Underdog Fantasy dropped its first wave of post-NFL draft contests, including Ball Mania V, which features $15 million in total prizes and $1.5 million to first place. This year, the payout structure is much more flat than in previous years, with the top 20 finalists all making 6 figures. Praise be to the best ball gods. And with the contest live, it's time to start pressing the specific edge that we outlined in our ultimate Best Ball Mania guide. The number one thing we need to do when the contest opens is aggressively target the rookies and the players who are guaranteed to rise over the coming weeks. The opening days of the contest are when the ADP market will be most inefficient. A lot of these rookie ADPs are pulled directly from the pre-draft NFL contests, which obviously don't account for hugely important new information like draft capital and team landing spot. I should also say, don't get discouraged if some of these players have already risen by the time you watch this video. All of the risers are likely to continue to rise in that same direction in the short term. These ADP shifts are not immediate, they always lag a bit, which gives us time to scoop up players at a discount even while they are on the rise. Our first cohort of players to target before they rise are these rookie wide receivers. Some of them are already priced efficiently. Guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors don't have much room to rise, but a lot of the rookie wideouts drafted in round 2 and round 3 are bound to skyrocket significantly over the coming weeks. And to help identify the risers we need to target quickly, I'm showing their starting ADP in the contest, an average of their ranks from Legendary Upside and Establish the Run, the 2 best fantasy ranking sets for best ball out there. I highly recommend subscribing to both. And then finally, my predicted ADP for these players in the near future. With all 3 sets of these numbers, you should be able to triangulate the best spot to target them in drafts while still getting a value. That's ultimately the main goal here. So let's start with Xavier Worthy, and he might not be the biggest rookie riser when it's all said and done, but I bet he'll be the fastest riser. On opening day, he was already going in round 6 and round 5 of all of my drafts, which coincidentally is exactly what I predicted would happen in our dream landing spot video. Predicted ADP, round 5. Even with Hollywood around, the market would be absolutely frothy for Worthy with Mahomes. He'd scream into the 6th round and make a push into round 5 during wide receiver avalanche drafts. Oh God. I reached out to the CoachSpeak Index, who does great work helping us decipher what coaches say and how reliable they are. You should definitely be following him on X. And he flagged this clip from Andy Reid talking about Worthy after the draft.
As you saw, we picked Xavier Worthy from Texas, wide receiver. We're glad to have him on board. We think he's a heck of a football player, number one. He does a few different things. He's a good wide receiver and also a good special teams returner, and he'll end up doing both to start things off with. So he'll just work into that rotation when we get him, the wide receiver rotation, and with Hollywood and Rasheed and Kels and the other fellows. So it should give Pat another weapon there in which to use.
Greg shared with me that Reid has been more reliable with depth chart coach speak than usage role coach speak. And we also know that it took the Chiefs most of the season for them to finally deploy Rashee Rice last year. So it's wise not to get too out of control with Worthy. I don't think he can rise much more beyond the 5th round. So I recommend taking him in the late 6th, early 7th as much as you can right now, and then chilling out a bit. Ladd McConkey is also going to be a fast riser after landing in a great spot with Justin Herbert in Los Angeles. He opened with a 10th round ADP, and I've already seen plenty of instances of him going higher. He'll be an 8th round pick in short order. Same goes for Keon Coleman, who not only landed in a sweet spot in Buffalo, but is already a fan favorite.
What you going there with your boxes?
Yeah. Gloves on. It's not bad. Step in this one.
It's not cold.
This one's a cold shaker.
Hey, boy, that's enough to freeze my pants, boy. We trying to go roll in the snow too?
If you don't think underdog drafters are ready to jam this guy into round 8, let me show you some Quentin Johnston ADPs from last year. One thing that's worth mentioning about some of these guys is this isn't necessarily about having to love the player you're drafting. I personally don't even think Keon Coleman is that good, but it ultimately doesn't matter. This exercise is about understanding where the market is going to go. Pat Kerrane explained this dynamic well on Best Ball Breakfast Monday when we were drafting one of our first Best Ball Mania 5 teams and took Coleman.
This guy's going to rocket up the board, and I'm like, I don't want him here. He shouldn't go here. He should be going 20 picks past this, and you're telling me he's going to rise another 15 picks up? Okay, but are you willing to not have any at all? Or are you going to be stubborn and then capitulate? Know yourself, because it's going to be one or the other. You're either going to have none, or you're going to miss the best price and then actually capitulate and draft him at the worst price. So I'm just trying to get in front of those types of things.
For this exact reason, Coleman is a guy I'm going to exclusively target now, but likely be out on when he's much more expensive. Ricky Pearsall is another interesting one. I do think he will rise, but maybe not as quickly as these other guys. Drafters seem pretty polarized on him. You either see a first-round pick on one of the best offenses in football with massive contingent upside, or you see a rookie with a shaky prospect profile who is unlikely to ever earn targets behind Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle. I'm much more in the latter camp, but I do think you can prioritize some of these other guys right now because the steam just isn't as hot on Pearsall. But I will tell you, if the Niners do trade a wide receiver, Pearsall is gonna rocket up draft boards. The other 3 rookies we need to keep an eye on here are Roman Wilson, Jalen Polk, and Jermaine Burton. I expect all 3 of them to rise in the coming weeks, and I could see them settling in round 12 and 13, with Burton likely being the most trendy. It is interesting because Polk faces the least target competition of all 3 and could legit end the season as the Patriots wide receiver 1. I think a lot of the early Burton enthusiasm is because people are still wish casting a T. Higgins trade, but even aside from that, we know the wide receiver 3 in that Bengals offense can still get there, and Tyler Boyd was more expensive than Burton is right now in previous years, so I think that's completely fine. Roman Wilson is really interesting to me. It's not the perfect setup at quarterback in Pittsburgh, but George Pickens has never been a massive target earner, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Wilson have a Jaden Reed-esque impact in year 1. So to quickly summarize these rookie wide receivers, move quickly on Worthy, McConkey, and Coleman, as well as Roman Wilson, and then scoop up as much Pearsall, Polk, and Burton as you can, slightly ahead of ADP until they move more. Speaking of rookies, we also need to mention 2 of the quarterbacks, JJ McCarthy and Jaden Daniels. And this one is a little IKB, aka I know better, compared to the ranks, because you can see both leg up and ETR have McCarthy and Daniels ranked similarly to their current ADP, and yet I still think both will move up 2 to 3 rounds over the course of the summer because of historical trends we've seen on Underdog. For McCarthy, he has so many great stacking options. You got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. You can even include Aaron Jones in there. I think he will become a very popular 3rd QB in 3 QB builds or a QB2 paired with an elite QB. And that's because stacking dynamics sneakily impact quarterback ADP, and McCarthy will slowly rise accordingly. As for Jaden Daniels, how many times have we seen this movie? Trey Lance, Anthony Richardson last year. The Konami code quarterbacks are a fantasy cheat code, and other than Kyler Murray and Daniels, all of the QBs with massive rushing ceilings go in the top 5 rounds. I fully expect Daniels to rise 3+ rounds and settle around Kyler's current ADP in the coming months, and he's a priority target for me. All right, before we hit on 4 other rookies who are free right now and absolutely shouldn't be, let's eat our vegetables and talk about some veteran risers. first, we need to address this Cowboys situation because old Jerry Jones went full 0 RB in the 2024 NFL Draft and then signed his old bestie, Zeke Elliott. So let's try to sort through this mess. First up, death, taxes, and Zeke being massively mispriced on Underdog. I know it's gross, it makes me want to vomit, but he opened up with an 18th round ADP and has an average 11th round rank from ETR and Leg Up. Rico Dowdle is also mispriced with a 15th round ADP and an 11th round rank. We know how much drafters like the idea of a cheap lead back, especially one on the Cowboys, so I expect both Rico and Zeke to rise significantly in the coming weeks, especially with many drafters using both ETR and Leg Up rankings. These guys will be at the top of their queue from round 11 on, and that will inevitably push them up in ADP. I included Jonathon Brooks here with the Cowboys backs because people do forget the Cowboys team doctor did his ACL surgery. And also, he probably would have been a Cowboy if Jerry Jones didn't play his goddamn hand face up.
He's outstanding. And he's just outstanding. And he's a great football player. We got him high. And he's a good player.
Show him the board.
Well, I got it out here.
Instead, Brooks is a Panther now, and Coach Speak flagged this clip from Dave Canales gushing about him.
Vision, patience, contact balance, acceleration, like he's got it all. He's the best back in this class, and we were so fired up to just be able to bring him in.
Coach Speak Index also passed along some other nuggets about Canales that should get drafters very excited about Jonathon Brooks.
At the NFL Combine, Panthers coach Dave Canales said, "I am excited about proving to you how stubborn I can be with the running game." And we saw that last season when he was the offensive coordinator in Tampa Bay. We also saw Canales use short passes to Rachaad White as an extension of the run game when they were unable to get anything going on the ground. Carolina trading up to draft Brooks 10 spots ahead of where he was projected to go shows you how much they wanted this guy.
I don't think Brooks will be a super fast riser because people will worry about him coming off the injury and a perceived committee in Carolina with Chuba. But as injury reports get more encouraging and buzz builds throughout the offseason, I fully expect him to rise 2+ rounds into round 7. And like Jaden Daniels, Brooks is a priority target right now. Before we get to more draft steals, I do want to remind you guys, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. We'll have weekly videos to help you in all of your fantasy drafts this summer, player targets, best ball strategy, draft reviews, and more. Subscribe now to the Deposit Kingdom channel. All right, let's dive into some other veteran running backs who are big winners after avoiding any significant rookie running back competition via the NFL draft. The Chiefs didn't add anyone at the running back position except for some European rugby dude in free agency, and I fully expect Isaiah Pacheco to slowly inch up from the 5th round all the way into the 3rd by the end of the summer. I'm gonna pack my bags now because I won't want to take 3rd round Isaiah Pacheco. Same goes for Zamir White, whose only competition is now Alexander Madison and a guy who agreed to podcast with Davis Maddock. White will quickly rise, so grab him now if you want some shares but don't love the player. The Bengals backs are also sneaky winners. Both Brown and Moss will rise a couple rounds as the market catches up. On my Best Ball Breakfast stream on Monday, Sean Siegel told me he has Brown ranked as a 7th round value. Do with that what you will. Gus Edwards and Devin Singletary are the two other veteran running back winners. Both the Chargers and Giants did add a rookie running back late in the draft, but the vets should dominate work, at least early. I envision 2 to 3 round rises for each of these backs over the course of the summer, so grab your shares now, and then you can circle back to the rookies when they get too expensive. Speaking of those rookies, let's get to the fun stuff. 4 rookies who are free in drafts right now, but won't be for long. Ray Davis was one of the biggest rookie winners after landing in Buffalo. And look, I love James Cook, but how many times have we seen the Bills yank around his workload, pull him at the goal line, bench him for being loosey-goosey with the ball? Davis has that bruiser back profile to steal some carries away, and he could wrestle away some goal line work as well. He opened up with a 17th round ADP, but he feels destined to be a 12th and 13th round pick by the end of the summer. I've been taking him as much as I can before he gets too expensive. After Ray Davis, we have 3 guys who opened up BBM without an ADP whatsoever. This is the exact same thing that happened with Sam Laporta last year. And this means unless a drafter has ranks loaded in, they won't even see these names in their queue until an ADP is established. Speaking of Laporta, Sean Siegel is already calling Washington tight end Ben Sinnott this year's Laporta. They do have lots of similarities, round 2 draft capital, lots of targets up for grabs, and quarterbacks who can get them the ball. I was hearing all kinds of crazy reports about where Sinnott was getting drafted on opening day of BBM. Getting some interesting reports from other early Best Ball Mania 5 drafts in the chat. James Ritchie says someone took him 76th, and then Anthony says he went 7-4. Looks like your Ben Sinnott love is trickling over into other rooms, Sean.
You got to get the 2024 Sam Laporta.
Get him cheap while you can. He's going to have a much higher ADP soon. Kimani Vidal is also a super interesting rookie running back in drafts, having landed with the Chargers. The only backs on the roster right now are the aforementioned Edwards and the perpetually injured J.K. Dobbins. Listen to this Vidal clip that Coach Speak sent me from the Chargers GM.
Yeah, well, one, he can carry the rock, you know. He's done it very well during his career there. And it was just, he's got great vision, burst, excellent contact balance, strength. Like, he's not a tall back, but he's not a small back. You know, he's 215 pounds, I think, and just runs through arm tackles, can make guys miss, take a hit, stay on his feet, great balance, strong, you know, like guys, DBs closing on him, punch him, you know, with a stiff arm and just keep going. But just that, you know, competes, you know, and also offers something in the passing game as well. And when you watch him block, it's impressive. Like he'll throw it up in there against a blitzing linebacker.
That last part there is key because the main concern with rookie running backs, particularly ones drafted late like Vidal, is if they can earn the trust of the coaches. And if he's able to pass block, watch out. The team doesn't have a clear third down back on the roster, and Vidal could get on the field right away. It's also worth noting that when Coach Speak tweeted out this clip and called him a fantasy sleeper for those very reasons, the Chargers running back coach Kyle McDonald actually retweeted the post, which is pretty interesting. I think we could see a 4 to 5 round rise from Vidal in the coming months, so grab him in the last round while you can. And we can't forget Luke McCaffrey. He might seem like a meme, a Nepo baby, but he got 3rd round draft capital to a pretty intriguing spot. He could legitimately backfill some of what Curtis Samuel did for the team last year, and he might not be a massive riser, but he'll be a regular pick at the end of drafts very soon. I also love that you can do a backdoor Jaden Daniels double stack with McCaffrey and Sinnott. Scoop those guys up now. All right, stay tuned for part 2, where we'll flip the script and highlight the fallers that you shouldn't touch in drafts right now.